Bernie Sanders says he's not going to go after Joe Biden's mental capacity. Should he, though?
We are back with Raven Group partner Eduardo Rodriguez and Senior Director of Policy at the Conservative Partnership Institute, Rachel Bovard. Always great to have both of you. So Bernie did a big Fox News town hall last night. He does pretty well in those settings, and he got asked specifically about whether he would go after Joe Biden's mental fatigue. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Senator, your thoughts?
I'm not going to go at that level in attacking. Joe and I have, that's for people to decide. All I can say is Joe and I have very significant political differences. And I'm not going to be making, personal attacks on Joe. That's not what I do.
Rachel, that's for people to decide. But he pulls it, but he doesn't say it himself, which personally I think is probably the right move. I don't think that people would take it well if it was coming directly from Bernie Sanders. Yeah. I think it's a fair conversation to have. It's a conversation that, frankly, a lot of these people who have now endorsed Joe Biden were perfectly happy to have before they endorsed Joe Biden. But I don't know how well it comes off from Bernie Sanders.
I think that's probably right for this time. At some point, it's going to have to be addressed, I think, by Sanders head on if this race continues to be the two of them going head to head. But he also doesn't have to say it right now because it's so self-evident. Yeah. I mean, the DNC keeps trying to make it this thing where it's like, don't believe what your eyes are telling you.
And the media is doing the same thing. I covered it yesterday. And that's, go ahead.
Well, I was just anyone who's dealt with like an elderly family member going through this, it just rips at your heart to watch him go through this. It's really sad.
It is sad, but Eduardo, at the same time, he's running for president, right? And then the problem with Bernie is he's always disavowed his own people and his own surrogates. Like Zephyr Teachout writes an op-ed who's a Bernie Sanders surrogate, calling Biden corrupt, and he apologizes to Biden, right? Like he refuses to attack Biden or even allow his team to attack Biden on any of the salient things that are going to come up in the election. And to this point, Politico has a story out today that Trump and the GOP mount coordinated campaign to paint Biden as senile. I don't think we need a coordination in order to point out the obvious, but is it a disservice not to test the Democratic frontrunner when you have the chance, when you know certainly it will be an issue in the general election?
Well, I take issue with your assumption that it's clear that he's senile. I don't think
I'm not saying he's clear.
Well, that's what you said, and I just want to clarify that.
It is clear he is not the same politician that he was.
Sure. Again, as I said earlier, these are septuagenarians. They're going to have all sorts of issues. That's the blood sport of this campaign, and in the primary, you'll see Democrats are tearing each other down. At what point will we start talking about whether or not Bernie needs to get another medical checkup in order to run because he had that heart attack? What they need is a doctor like Donald Trump has, which says strongest stallion ever, ready to lead the country. Healthier.
Biden has this doctor come out and say that.
So yes, I think have the conversation. Biden's going to go to the doctor probably eventually if he falls to pressure, and some doctor will say he's fine, right? At this age, you're going to have certain lapses. It'll be more obvious than not in certain situations, but then get back to, is he the one who's going to lead the country versus Bernie, and then ultimately versus Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Well, we can tear them apart as much as you want. They're going to come back and say it's about the policy.
To Eduardo's point, now Democrats who've coalesced behind Biden are saying, you can't talk about this, it's so mean, it's a low blow, et cetera. They are perfectly happy to ask those questions about Bernie's health and his heart attack. That's not off the table. And you had, remember, Julian Castro went after Biden on this. Cory Booker went after Biden. Tim Ryan went after it.
They went after it.
Right. Yeah. Journalists who are now saying, this is too much.
Conspiracy theory.
Talked about it because it is a relevant question. It's a relevant question in terms of governing the country. It's a relevant question in terms of who's going to be able to defeat Donald Trump. So, look, I think that it would come off poorly if Bernie was the one to make that case directly. I think what they are hoping for is that if you do have a head-to-head on the debate stage this weekend coming up, that will be evident to people because it has been evident to people.
I think it's going to be. This is a challenge for Joe Biden that I'm not sure he can continue. The rigors of the campaign trail are intense. Right. You're not sleeping. You're dealing with a lot of people.
I don't know that the rigors of his campaign trail have been intense.
Fair enough.
In fairness.
In the 7-minute
regardless,
debate,
it's grueling. Airlines
rally.
Airline miles, all that stuff. As you said, he only spoke for like 7 minutes at this rally. I saw reporters saying that at the rally they're trying to fill time and stretch it out, make it go. Eduardo, he's only doing, pre-taped sit-down interviews with Lawrence O'Donnell. He's not subjecting himself to a town hall environment. Certainly, the only time he's really going to come out, from what I can tell, is during these debates. This is just not This is going to be something which is a problem for him. And the question is Sanders trying to fight him has done a couple of things, in my view, which are very stupid. He said Biden can beat Donald Trump. Well, why are you running against him then? It's like, if you both disagree, why are you validating the central core thesis of your opponent's campaign? He's disavowed the corrupt charge. He refuses in order to attack the center of gravity of his campaign, and he's not making the stakes existential. And isn't that what you need to do when you're running against somebody, in a primary in particular?
Well, yeah. I think the argument has also been that you're supposed to excite a base of voters to turn out. Mm-hmm. And so does that necessarily help him if he goes right to the heart of the weakness that Biden may present, right? And I think both sides have recognized that. As we were saying before, Biden is this old-time classic politician, and he's not going to go after Bernie's heart attack. I mean, both of them are kind of, they're nullifying each other on that front. So I think they're going to have to focus on whether or not they can energize a base or not. And the question of Biden's mental health will continue to be analyzed by the media. Yeah. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to insist that somehow some doctor give us a green light that he can move forward or not. Whether or not that even works, ultimately Donald Trump's going to have a field day with it for the remainder of the campaign.
Rachel, preview what that's going to look like.
I mean, it's going to be completely with Donald Trump. Yeah, it's going to be completely.
Get yourself in the mind of Donald Trump real quick.
It's going to be unconvincing for a doctor to
I interviewed him 8 months ago on this show, and he was like, he's not playing with the full deck.
Yeah,
it was right there.
But the thing is, people have been litigating Donald Trump's mental health since office, right?
Absolutely.
So some idea that this is off the table is ridiculous. Yeah. But also Trump, for anything you may say about him, he's quick and he's sharp and he's not going to let anything slide.
Right. Whether it's true or not, he's quick. That's a fact.
He is quick.
That is true.
He's rhetorically very sharp, and Biden is going to get eaten alive if he can't keep up with that.
Yeah, and there is no evidence currently, and I think that this is more just again, look, it's uncomfortable, as you say, it rips at your heart, all of that. But when you run for president of the United States, it's fair game. It just is. You want to you want to sit in the Oval Office and make the most important decisions in the world. And I actually said this yesterday. If America sees that and still votes for him, okay, fine.
Right.
Seriously.
Right.
That's what happened with Trump. People were like, and people looked at Trump. They still voted for him. Okay, that's fine with me. But that doesn't mean that it's not something that we can talk about during the campaign.
Right. You can't say it's existential to get Donald Trump out and then be like, but we can't talk about these potential major liabilities that could stand in the way of getting Donald Trump out.
And it's better to rip the Band-Aid off and talk about them than let your opponent talk about it.
That's right.
Once you rip the Band-Aid off, you can talk about it as much as you want, and then you're going to move on to the next issue.
Biden could address this himself.
Yeah.
But he's not going to, and none of his surrogates are going to.
He gets very touchy about it. And then that's the other thing is with Rachel, with the media, is that the same people who will have psychiatrists on and read Atlantic articles and the 25th Amendment and et cetera, they'll be like, this is a Russian conspiracy theory.
Gosh.
I think that's what drives me particularly.
You know what I would say to those people? Yeah, those people are lying dog-faced ponies.
That's right. They are lying dog-faced.
We always come back to the dog-faced.
I Googled that phrase because I'm like, it's got to come from something.
I still am mystified. If any risers know what it actually means, tell me. Tweet at me. Actually, tweet us your best definitions and we'll read the top 3.
The millennials on the panel are lost.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tomorrow on Rising, we're going to have a big Tuesday election result. Again, when did we decide?
Is that a thing? Tuesday? I don't know. And also expert analysis from Young Turks' Cenk Uygur and all the latest polling results. As always, please make sure you like, share, and definitely subscribe, guys, so you don't miss any of this goodness. You know you don't want to. All right. Have a great day. We will see you back here tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.